Guys, what would happen if humans disappeared? Not for a day, not for a week, not for a week and 60 minutes. I'm talking about disappear off the earth. Now, if it was me and you on this, I'd probably beat the shit out of you and feast on your body. Let's check it out.
Imagine the snap, but instead of wiping out just half of the living population of the universe, it wipes out 100% of all intelligent beings.
Oh.
What do you think would happen to planet Earth? What would happen if we all weren't here? Well, I personally believe that number one is the most plausible outcome, so stay tuned for that. Here are 10 things that would happen if humans suddenly disappeared.
It's full screen, what would happen?
All that said and done, let's begin, shall we?
Sit up. Hey, sit up. Make sure your posture's good in this video. I know you're laying down. You haven't done anything all day. You're laying down on your phone watching this video. You need to sit up. Make sure your posture's straight. Get an ergonomic chair. Agronomic. I don't fucking care or no. But get up. You know, I bought this chair and I still don't have a good posture. I literally still sit like this. Like these. Like this.
Number 10.
Number 10.
The world in total darkness.
Gray.
These days, there's a lot of things that we take for granted. Electricity, for instance. All we care about is there's juice coming out of the power outlets.
That is not my quality, guys.
All we care about is keeping our beloved gadgets working.
Facts.
On a larger scale, most of the world will simply grind to a halt if electricity fails. Believe it or not, only a relatively few people worldwide are directly responsible for keeping our homes, cities, and countries powered up. These people work 24/7 just to make sure that power plants all over the world are in good working order.
Amazon, right?
Someone has to be there 24/7, otherwise it just takes a matter of hours for everything to fall apart. Yes, if humans somehow vanish in an instant, the world's power plants will completely shut down due to lack of people maintaining them. And as I've said earlier, it would only take a few hours for this to happen. Lights will stop working, entire cities and countries plunged into total darkness.
Really?
And then the vampires take over.
Really? Mr. Beast. Ad block.
Number 9.
Vampires. Do you guys believe in vampires? Bro, I think there's some like, ooh, I heard this theory the other day. I'm gonna tell you guys a theory in the vlog that I post tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, before this video. You've probably already seen it. But I'm gonna tell you the theory. But guys, do you think vampires are real? I don't know. Some people are just too white nowadays. Now, I don't, not even that, but I don't know. There's there are some weird conspiracy theories that we got to talk about, and maybe we'll watch a conspiracy video.
Global nuclear meltdown.
Global.
Much of the world's cities are powered by nuclear power plants. Although they are remarkably efficient in what they were built to do, there's always the risk of disaster that's permanently linked to them. I think I don't have to remind you of the Chernobyl and Fukushima disasters just to give you an idea on how devastating these nuclear meltdowns can actually be. Now, if humans disappear from the face of the Earth, imagine Chernobyl, but on a global scale. Right now, the only thing that's keeping these nuclear power plants from being nuclear bombs are the people working on it.
Is that place still on fire?
These plants have massive cooling towers which require a lot of water to keep everything from overheating. Its water supply needs to be replenished regularly, so without humans to do all that, all the water from the cooling towers will evaporate, and will eventually lead to massive nuclear explosions worldwide.
Really?
Some people even think that these explosions would be bigger than Chernobyl and Fukushima combined. Any living creature within the blast radius would naturally be eliminated.
Giraffes?
Those who survived the blast would also eventually die due to radiation poisoning. Number 8.
Number 8.
Massive.
I'm gonna be honest, I zoned out on that one. He lost me. I have no idea what he just said. I'm staring, looking at the screen, thinking in my head like, just about vampires and shit. Let's tune in. Let's tune back in, because that was a really boring, really boring conspiracy.
Flooding.
Massive
Have you ever
flooding.
wondered why underground tunnels and subway lines remain water-free even though they were built below water table level? Well, that answer is one word. Pumps. Yes, pumps keeps these areas flood-free. If these pumps somehow stop working, like let's say when the electricity gets cut, with no electricity and no one around to operate the pumps, underground tunnels will soon begin to fill with water. It actually wouldn't take long for this to happen after the electricity is cut. Many experts believe flooding may happen in just 3 days, and the floodwaters will eventually find its way to the streets, turning many well-known avenues into temporary rivers. Oh, and one more thing, flooding will also have one more unfortunate side effect. Without power, sewage would slowly back up and begin to flood. polluting the surrounding lakes.
Damn, so
and
everything
rivers.
runs on power
So it would
nowadays?
likely poison the
That's
number of animals
crazy.
who managed to survive thus far. Number 7. Shooting stars.
Whoa, what?
Shooting stars are some of the most
Whoa.
amazing things that you can see in the night sky.
No, it's
They're
clouds.
extremely rare as well, so consider yourself lucky if you see
Never
one
seen
and make
one.
a wish. But in a world without humans, experts think that that would happen more commonly. The thing is,
Why?
instead of being tiny meteorites burning up as it enters the Earth's atmosphere, they'll be made out of chunks of metal, junk, and old satellites that we sent out over the years. Experts all agree that in about a year into the world's existence without humans, the night sky will begin to look very different as satellites begin to fall. Thousands of objects sent by man into orbit will slowly start to fall over the course of
Why don't we
several
discover
years,
it then?
appearing like shooting stars in the sky. Some of the furthest satellites could continue to orbit for decades before eventually falling back to Earth. Don't get me wrong, old satellites fall back to
Damn.
Earth even now, but they are few and far in between because most satellites on Earth's orbit are actually working and are maintained either by people here on the ground or by astronauts sent up there periodically. Number 6.
I thought it was the sun.
Mother Nature reclaims what is hers.
Overgrowing?
Around 25 years after humans disappear from the face of the Earth, Mother Nature would have already claimed what's hers.
Yeah, but that would take like
Nuclear fallout that's left from the
25,000
nuclear plants
years.
that melted down would have already dropped to a safe level for living things, especially plants, to thrive. Without maintenance workers to regularly clean them out, the once paved streets and highways will soon be overrun with vegetation. The concrete itself won't survive this onslaught, as the roots would soon break them down into tiny pieces as they crumble to soil in time. Number
But wouldn't that be a good thing for animals? I feel like all that, what do you say, vegetation? Vegetation would help like all the animals. Considering if it just says humans, so if animals are still there, I feel like animals would live longer because there's no humans or power. So the world would be taken over by like animals and stuff like that. Because if vegetation grows, all the omnivores or herbivores would rule the earth and it'd be just like another dinosaur age BC. Number 5.
Steel
Steel
structures
structure
start to
crumble.
Steel is such an amazing material.
It is.
City skylines wouldn't be as magnificent as it is today without steel.
Steel.
I mean, can you imagine a world without the Eiffel Tower and the Golden Gate Bridge? No. Well, neither can I.
Never seen any of
The
them.
fact is, steel structures aren't going to last forever, especially without regular maintenance.
Oh,
Steel
what?
does deteriorate, especially when left out in the elements without
Oh, the
protection.
Empire State
Admittedly,
Building.
any structure made of steel can remain standing for a very long time. But one thing is definite, it's not going to stand there forever.
No, you gotta clean steel.
Experts believe that around 300 years after humans, structures made out of metal and steel would have degraded over time and would have simply crumbled to the ground.
That would take like
Number
300
4.
years though. Block. Mr. Beast.
4. The decline of domesticated animals.
Really?
Only a few weeks after we disappear from the face of the earth,
Oh,
many of
our
domesticated
animals.
animals and pets will succumb to starvation and dehydration. Very sad.
not
I
if it
know,
floods.
but these are just kind of the facts that we have here. Most likely, many of our furry and feathered friends would be locked up in our homes in their cages or in barns when the human race dies out.
Really?
And without having no one to attend to them, these animals that we bred for our leisure or enterprise will kick the bucket because they'd have no means to sustain or feed themselves.
True.
The smart
Wow.
ones that may find a way out of our homes may survive a few days longer.
My dog will
But
not.
these domestic breeds of pets, especially the smaller ones like your aunt's Chihuahua or your frisky little terrier, will end up being on the menu of a much larger predatory wildlife
Really?
that may have already encroached upon places that humans used to
Hey,
occupy.
the strongest survive. I feel it.
Suffice to say that the extinction of humanity would also be the extinction of the Shih
It's
Tzu
literally
and
my
other
dog.
small animal
It's
breeds.
literally my dog.
Number
Shih Tzu.
3. Wildlife
I
takes.
told you, wildlife.
Speaking of animals, when the massive cities that we built in the
wildlife take over, they're gonna eat all the domestic animals.
Presence, animal life will be.
Oh, what the fuck is that? What was that?
After all, it was theirs to begin with. We just forced them out of there.
Ooh, my
A good
god, a
example
lion?
of this scenario in a microcosm is Chernobyl. When the area was turned into a no man's land.
But wouldn't monkeys be extinct too? Because aren't monkeys like they're like 15% human or something like that? So would that? How would monkeys survive if humans can't survive? Wouldn't that take monkeys off the earth too, since they're the descendants of a human? Hey, it's something to think about.
The devastating meltdown of its nuclear power plant, wildlife and even vegetation returned to the region.
Yeah.
Wild dogs and birds have
Skunks.
returned and began bringing back life, albeit a
Hedgehogs.
radioactive and highly contaminated
Squirrels.
one, to Chernobyl. On a massive scale, wildlife is bound to return to places
Elk.
that were once their natural habitats, marking new territories and steadily repopulating areas. Now it's time for today's best pick.
Best pick. Let's see it.
Today's pick shows us the very familiar
Statue of
skyline of New
Liberty.
York City, but with a
Wow.
massive difference to what we're used to seeing. Instead of
Is this
water
New York?
surrounding the Statue of Liberty,
Arizona.
we see a massive desert. Would such a thing be possible when humans suddenly disappear? Well, let's find out next with number 2.
Why?
Rise of the Deserts.
Let's see.
Humans have a knack for terraforming. That means we find a place that would normally be uninhabitable, but through sheer will and ingenuity, we can make the harshest of places inhabitable.
Sure.
This includes deserts. And I
Deserts.
know that one all too well.
Sand dunes, to be
When we're all
exact.
gone, the cities we have built in desert lands, such as Las Vegas and Dubai, will be devoured by sand and turned back into
Really?
its state as a desert. With only the monuments that we have built and the structures that we put up as ghosts of what was once our flourishing civilization, these desert cities will be nothing more than just arid landscapes against the blazing backdrop of the sun.
Oh, I hate lizards.
Even massive areas in the western hemisphere, such as Mexico and California, will turn back to the parched landscapes that they used to be as homes and buildings begin to deteriorate and the heat from the sun dries up the land once more. The question is, how about places not built in desert lands like New York, for instance? It's highly unlikely because there's a more plausible fate for the Big Apple, which is next on our list. Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed.
My analytics say the same thing, guys. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, like the video if you want to see more of this. Yep, let's keep talking. Okay, let's get back to it.
Number 1.
Number 1.
Water.
Water. Whoa,
At the
stop.
height of mankind's expansion of territories and the great discoveries of new lands, we have paved ways to new regions by building dams and forcing water out of places where they should be. Delta cities, man-made islands, and places where water has been diverted to create a hospitable place to create habitat will be swept away by the very same element we have tried to command once we have all
Really?
been in the dust as a species. Without anyone to maintain them, dam walls, no matter how thick and fortified, will break and release tons and
Damn!
When it does, many areas will be sunk in water, turning them back into the rivers and swamplands that they used to be.
Really?
Bodies of water, such as the Colorado River, will once again flow into the Gulf of Mexico, and the Hoover Dam will crumble to give back the river that it kept contained for
Some
decades,
blue-ass
if not
water.
centuries. Furthermore, sea levels are continuously rising, and the disappearance of man won't do anything to stop it. That spells the end for all coastal cities and other nearby places, which
Really?
sadly includes New York City. Do you
Really?
know of any other possible outcomes when man totally disappears from the face of the earth? Let us know in the comments down below.
Do you guys remember the map Carnival on NW2? It's like if you had like an expansion pack or something like that. Carnival map Call of Duty. This is what the map looks like. So it's pretty much like a wasteland. You guys let me know in the comments what you guys think. What would happen if the humans disappear for the day, or the 100% forever.